You are now recording.
Alrighty then. Wanted to say hello to everyone on Facebook. I'm alive and well after 2 weeks home from the hospital from having my gallbladder removed. And my good friend and retired Reuters photojournalist Robert Paget is nice enough to photograph this on his A3000 by Sony. We had spoken, and I wanted to take the first moment to pass my condolences off to Wendy McCarthy for Laney. So sorry for your loss. And I hope that everything works out for you. It was a terrible thing to read about this morning in Facebook. My thoughts are with you. At any rate, my friend Bob was nice enough to try and work with me to figure with what my limitations and disabilities are, how to be able to work with multiple bodies and be able to do lens changes and whatnot. So I brought the most unlikely situation on over, and it's not perfect yet. I'll probably take these out to the side. There are certain things that I'm going to do to the belt. I'm going to go to a seamstress and have her cut away in the back, and also take another belt and bring it across here so it takes everything off of the neck entirely and has everything there so you don't have swing problems with the cameras. But this is the beginning phase of this. I went back and forth to Home Depot and purchased a tool belt that they have, and a grommet punching tool, and some key rings. And I looked at a number of different ways with which to connect and disconnect the camera quickly. And the quick keychains were terrible because the first time I went to use it, of course the camera hit the floor, and it has those possibilities with you going back and forth with it doing that. So I went to about 3 or 4 different things and found that the spring release that I use for my keys was the absolute best thing in the world for these cameras. So as I say, the belt itself is a work in progress, but I wanted folks to see, that it's possible. I've got 4 on here. The 5th one I can easily put around my neck because the 3000 without with just a kit lens on it, it weighs like a pound, so it's nothing to have around one's neck. And as Bob likes to call it, a Zeiss design lens. They don't claim that it's Sony, but it has to be. You can just see by the picture quality on it. It's the most amazing $349 camera that ever was. It truly is just a remarkable camera. But at any rate, this allows me to, without doing a whole lot of lens changes, and I also can put a second belt around here and hang again from straps additional lenses if I need to bring additional lenses on out with which to shoot. So I thought this might be an interesting idea for you to go on out with. I know that they make them that have the drop straps and whatnot at camera shops, but you don't really have the option to space exactly where you want with grommets or have this kind of a quick release. I just could not find anything. And we talked for hours about this, so this is the beginning of what I came up with as an idea. To my friend Dale, to my friends that suffer from autonomic neuropathy like I do, or from Raynaud's syndrome, where the spasming in the arterial spasming causes freezing in the hands. These gloves that you can get over at Depot are marvelous because I don't have to cut anything, and I still have full function of all of the buttons on the cameras. So hopefully my friends that are photography people, as well as some of the folks that have endopathic issues, will be able to pick up things. I find these were only $9.99. The $20 mechanics ones are just too padded. You can actually use a keyboard and type on it. I sleep in these to keep myself from having real bad arterial spasms, and they're just real nice. And hopefully this will allow me to get out this fall and this winter and be able to photograph, which I have not been able to do in 13 years, quite a pretty long time. It's pretty much been a spring thing for me, and occasionally a fall picture or whatnot. The heat intolerance and the cold issues became a real deal. But this is going to be an answer, and I'm not entirely sure. They make a thing for hunters to keep their feet warm that's a pellet that releases heat as you go. The only problem that I find with autonomic dysfunction is not only are the arteries firing to where they're closing off and causing the feet to freeze, but at the same time you're sweating, so I'm really not sure how that will work out. I'll let you know as I go through and work out things and find what works and what doesn't work. To my friend Dale out in Arizona, it's okay, Austin. The mean postman is gone. It's okay, Mr. Austin. You protected us good. So, at any rate, I wanted to present a little bit about the Sony cameras and why I like them. This is another one of my 3000s. You can buy them new for, depending upon what month it is with Sony, it's normally $349. Sometimes you can get them for as low as $299. It's a 20 megapixel APS-C sensor on the camera. The viewfinder is really kind of disappointing, and anyone that would buy one, if they were to shoot pictures with it, if they weren't experienced as a photographer, you know, they might see highlights as being overblown. There are things that are not perfect about in the compact system cameras, but the price point of this particular camera, the fact that it's a 20 megapixel sensor, and the 20s and the 24s in the Sony products, the dynamic range is just so much better than it is on the 16 megapixel sensor that it really, I would rather put up with certain limitations. There are also some other things. We may have to do this in two parts because it may overheat. The other thing that I find with this is that the grip, and I wish that Sony would get smart and realize that, you know, and I think that the SLT mirror, as you can see, I've got one, that's 77 over there. They made such a big deal, and I really think the marketing aspect of comparing it to the pellicle mirror, which was a disaster because it just lost so much light, and it was a disastrous thing with Canon, was the worst thing in the world they could do, that the light loss is really insignificant. That having been said, the reason that I have both systems, this allows me to mount virtually any lens to the camera from any manufacturer because there is no mirror, and the sensor they mount right on the front of the surface on over here. So you can just get an adapter. This is my 200 millimeter Canon FD 2.8, which is just an absolutely marvelous lens, and it balances real nice in the hands, and you can do just about anything with it. One of the really great things when you go into manual mode, it literally will show you by f-stop. You can see it brightening and lowering. By shutter speed, by f-stop, by any one of your exposure triangles that you have on over there, it shows you exactly what it is that you're going to shoot in the camera. And it's just such a beneficial thing. You know, additionally, if you want to look like you're a fighter pilot and have the histograms and have everything on it, the amount of stuff that's displayed inside of the sensors just absolutely phenomenal. I'm not going to bother to demonstrate the focus peaking. It's 3 colors. It's white, yellow, and red, and it does a very, very nice job. And I've got thousands of pictures up on Facebook that just show how nice a quality this is. You know, this lens I really had debated. Bob's got a 180 ED that I really kind of like, and honestly it balances a little better in the hand because you can be out here on it instead of back here. But and I don't have all Canon lenses. I'll walk through what I have and why I chose them. One of the reasons for the Canon lenses that I do have, they shoot warmer, and as a photographer, what's warmer, what's cooler? Well, you know, when you go on out and you shoot anything that has detail in it, really, but it really relates. It's easier to visualize if you look at shooting garden scenes or things of that nature. You know, you just have to take on almost any other lens, the Nikon lenses, Minolta lenses, the ones that are cooler. The Konicas run a little bit warmer like the Canons do. In that yellow, brown, and red area of the lens, it just isn't punched, so you wind up taking and moving up your saturation or moving your black points in it, and unfortunately it works, but it's time consuming and it works to a degree. Where it doesn't work so well is that it's very easy for vignetting and for the other areas where there are imperfections in the lens to start to show up more quickly. So to find something that shoots in a color range that's warm for you, that works well with the sensor, is that's why I bought this one. And this is a bargain. These go for like $169, and the Nikons, I think around $350 if I'm not mistaken. You want to get the one that's the internal focus with this for circular polarizers. But at any rate, for those reasons, I have the 20mm Canon FD, and I'll never get rid of my kit lens, because there are certain things that you do lose that even a kit lens in certain lighting situations is better. The little 18 to 55 kit lens that Bob's shooting with on over there, it's almost impossible for you to get any type of flare out of it, or you really have to try hard for it to get flare or to get certain issues such as that. There are certain things with bokeh and with color clarity and sharpness that you have in this that's unparalleled. So when you have the combination of the two, you know, instead of spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on, you know, on one lens that does everything, you know, these go for, I think, $260 to $300 is what they retail for. You know, and the kit lens, if you buy it with a camera, it's, like I say, $299 or $349 used. I also, in the manual focus lenses, I use the Canon in the 50mm range, but I found that in the 100 and the 150mm range, I use Pentexes. They're a Tesser design. They're a very light lens, but that really doesn't affect picture quality at all. I had a MAH00201 that I sold to Dale out in Arizona, only because this is just a smattering of the lenses that I have, and I'd love to keep everything, but you just can't. The 105 I sent him, it's a 2.8. The 100 that I have, that's the Pentax, is an f4, and I liked it because it's not a true macro, because it's a 1:2 rather than a 1:1, but with an extension tube I can get 1:1. I'm not really an insect shooter, but it's nice to have that macro function in it. Of all of the dental lenses that Lester Dime was coupled up with, that particular f4 Pentax is probably, I think it's the best 100mm lens on the market, period. And from what I understand, they go for as much as 300, 310. I saw one up for around 130 at one point. You just don't see many of them even out on eBay. So, you know, it would be a good thought. The 150 is kind of nice because on a crop sensor it puts you at a 220mm, so what used to be an unusual focal length is a pretty usable size, and it's kind of lightweight, it's easy to carry around. Let's do this in two parts so we don't overheat it, Bob.